Hey guys, what's up? I'm back after a little break with more 1v1 content. We're going to resume going over my series from the 1v1 Premier League. For those who didn't know, I brought you guys the first, I believe the first 5 or 6 weeks that I'm playing. This is not the last week of the regular season. Yeah, this is week 7, so I played the first 6 weeks. At this point, I believe I was up to 5-1. And my week 7 opponent was Scarf Knight, who seems to be a very well-respected 1v1 player, someone who has a good grasp on the ORS metagame. So I knew to have my hands full, especially as this was a do-or-die week for my squad. We had to get some points this week to assure making the playoffs. It was of the utmost importance that we won this week, so I was ready to ball out. And let's get into how I balled out, or potentially how I didn't ball out, depending on how the series goes. No spoilers. Anyway, not going to get into a ton of backstory here. Just a pretty solid series against a real good dude. I was excited for it. Prep wasn't anything special this week. I tried to bring teams that I was solid with and comfortable with in order to maximize my odds of winning against someone who I just wasn't as familiar with as some of other opponents. I wasn't sure how he would approach me either because I'm still pretty new to 1v1, but at the same time, I kind of knew if it came to it, I would be able to play my way around a lot of things so long as I didn't get 3-0'd by a lot. Unfortunately, game 1, I actually did get 3-0'd by something, though. This Diancie was going to beat my Altaria, barring weird sets and luck. It was going to beat my Victini no matter what weird sets and luck, I can tell you that much, and it was always beating Slacking if it had Protect. So I was trying to think here. What would be the way I could condition him with the sets I have into maybe overthinking it and not bringing Diancie? Because I know all 3 of mine lost to the Protect Diancie. If I was if I was Earthquake on Slacking and he wasn't Protect Diancie, if he was like a Mega Magnet Rise dual attacks with skill swap, or he was one of the regular Diancie variants and I fit Earthquake into that, or he misplayed around Earthquake into that, or maybe he didn't do enough damage with his attack and I did enough with mine. There were some scenarios, some spreads that made it possible because the choice band Slacking hits very hard. Then I could win that. In which case, he would actually get 3-0'd by my Slacking, so I didn't think that was the case. I thought that was very unlikely, but I thought okay, that's the one condition. I wasn't Earthquake by that, I was Hammer Arm, so it didn't really matter much, but also, even if he's not Protect, if I Hammer Arm Mega Diancie, and he is the Mega set, I get 2 kill or 3 kill him, and he couldn't do enough to me if he doesn't Mega, or does enough to me if he Megas, but then he's slower the next time, so there were potentially outs, where if he's not Protect but he's Mega, then I could potentially avoid a 2-KO depending on spreads and get a 2-KO on him. So, chance, but again, if he has Protect, it completely negates the strategy as a whole. I don't think there's any world where he brings a Pokemon that's not Diancie, the more and more I thought about it this team preview. But if he were to, then my Altaria would always handle the Manectric, and it really depends on the Kyurem set, but again, I don't think I was going to face either of those two. And Victini was never being brought here. It could lose to specific sets on both Manectric and Kyurem Black, although it can beat specific sets on both of them either, but it's never beating Diancie, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, all in all, the Pokemon of choice was always going to be Slacking. It's just hoping to bait no prediction on his part, or bait a set that wasn't well equipped for Slacking, and a team that was 3-0'd by Slacking, but unfortunately, he brought it, and it was Protect, and that was that. I just didn't have my way out in the matchup, and sometimes you run into unfortunate 3-0 matchups, sometimes you don't prepare optimally, and that was the case for my teammates and I there. Potato Chan or Poppy Chan, he builds a lot of my teams, and I do want to say he helped me with this team. I don't remember if this is or not, but putting blame on him, and he kind of felt like it was his fault, is stupid. He has been so incredibly welcoming and helpful all tournament. I wouldn't be 5-1 at this point without him. So therefore, losing one game maybe because of his slight oversight, no, I could have looked at the Pokemon that I could face and noticed that myself. It was my team. I used it. I played this game. I take full ownership of that as an extension of that. So no, any blame on him is freaking stupid. People in my chat saying that, him saying that, no, man. On me, 100% 100. You gotta own the team you use. You gotta own the plays you make. You gotta own all of your decisions as a tournament player. That's how you get better. That's how you hold yourself accountable, and that's how you improve. And also, in my opinion, that's the fun of the game, because if you're just doing the same thing over and over and over again without thinking of improving or revising your mindset, then it's going to get boring, and it's going to also generate diminishing returns as other people catch on and either adopt your same mindset or mindsets to counter your mindset. So my thought process is I'm always trying to improve. I'm always trying to adapt to the next best thing, and you know what? if that means get my ass whooped a couple times, then I'm all for it. That's totally fine with me. Games like this are meant to open your eyes to new realities. So what I did here was I came out game 2. I'm like, okay, bet I'm gonna win me some Pokemon, but fuck, I'm 3-0'd by something again. No, if that's a choice band Archops and it hits a head smash, I am beyond fucked. Now, there is a bright spot in this. I actually have leverage. There are specific Altaria spreaders that have a chance of living head smash, and Scarf Victini exists, and that could beat it. And the fact that he could miss, bleh. Or maybe a very, very physically bulky Clefable with like counter could do it, but I haven't seen that. But also, there's the chance to Scarf Archops, and that flips the script entirely. Scarf Archops is always going to beat every Victini, but it's never going to beat Altaria with Cotton Guard, and it's likely not going to beat the good Clefable sets either, because Specs could just kill it and live a Scarf head smash and whatnot. On top of that, the bulkier sets can likely like charm it and deal with it as they wish. Yeah, it really depends. Trying to think here. My background music on? Oh yeah, check out Lakey Inspired, Blue Boy. Anyway, sorry, I just had to make sure that was going. Am I recording right now? Is it working? Okay, good. Sorry, guys. My computer just did a weird thing. Anyway, so I was like, you know what? I gotta think of win conditions here, because being a Debbie Downer about lose conditions, and the fact that a Bandit Archops is 3-0s me if it's accurate, is silly. Why? Because he's gonna think that I wasn't 3-0'd by a rock type for the second straight game in a row, and he's gonna try and play devil's advocate for himself. And you can win by being better than your opponent, even if your opponent has the tools to win, as long as you make it so that he doesn't utilize those tools to win. Sometimes using your own tools can do that, and sometimes just knowing that he has tools that can win certain matchups one way, other matchups another way, and figuring out what he's going to use, deducting his mindset. It's in a sense psychological, it's in a sense just advanced game theory. It kind of is simplified for 1v1 when compared to 6v6, but there are so many different things this is applicable to in Pokemon, and yes, sometimes it's worth thinking about, hey, I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm planning. What is my opponent planning? What is my opponent doing? And why? And that could help give you a better idea when to predict, when not to predict, and when to play aggressively, when to play conservatively, etc. And that very much applies to 1v1, which is more picking than it is playing, but nonetheless, it works. So if I'm in his shoes, I'm like, okay, why would I not pick Band Archops? Scarf Victini? Well, that's a problem. But if it's Scarf Victini, my bulky Mega Gengar has a chance of living and potentially getting off a Disable or a Hex, and it's -1, it's slower than me, etc. Okay, maybe I've got to watch out for Scarf Zen Headbutt, but that's not super common. Yeah, it might be able to help against Mega Venusaur, but Charm Mega Venusaur likely beats that anyway. So realistically, is there any reason to run Scarf Zen Headbutt? I haven't seen it very much, so why not? And realistically speaking, Mawile is not beating Victini, in all likelihood. Even maybe if it's at -1 and it's a Scarf Victini, there's a chance of living and getting the Metal Burst off, but I don't know how likely that is. I didn't run that calc, to be completely honest, because I wasn't actually Scarf Victini. This was all bluffing. This was all trying to see what he was thinking. But yeah, no, his Archops has to be scared of that. And then there's a possibility of him being Scarf Archops. Now, with the prospect of Sucker Punch on Sword Stance Mawile, and the prospect of him being Fast Mega Gengar, the Disable, Wisp, Hex subset, which they all are, I was thinking about it, and honestly, I was thinking maybe he wouldn't bring the Archops. Maybe he'd be scared enough and he'd bring the Gengar. I'm thinking, okay, how do I beat the Gengar? Because, truth be told, I wasn't actually banded Victini in any capacity, so I could actually lose to the Gengar with my Victini. In my Altaria, it was definitely not super safe against it either. So I'm thinking, now he might think that the Gengar 3-0s me, but actually, so long as it's not Sludge Bomb, which they very rarely are, they're Sub-Disable Wisp usually, which is very, very underrated strategy in 1v1 in my opinion. My Specs Clefable, some Specs for Psychic, actually beats it, and they don't always expect Psychic. He might expect me to Fire Blast, whatever, in which case he could sub, then disable the Fire Blast on turn 1, or even Wisp, and then disable the Fire Blast on turn 2, and then Struggle wouldn't kill him, especially with the burn and whatnot, and then he'd kill me with Hex. But no, I was Psychic, so that was always an out against Mega Gengar. Especially because he's likely going to be scared of things like Encore, or potential setup moves and moves that can not do direct damage. He doesn't want to sub turn 1. He wants to Wisp turn 1 to get directly to the point where he's doing some progress oriented, if you will. So I kind of figured that my main way of cheesing past that would be just going ahead with Clef and and locking the Spec Psychic and praying that he doesn't sub on turn 1. Because in a way, it's kind of a 50-50 between sets. But also, that covers Mega Mawile, the third option, which Mega Mawile was the only Pokemon on his team that was safe against every single possible variant of Mega Altaria. Always, in my eyes. That's assuming he has the right set for it. So I really don't think he's going to bring Mega Mawile because A, Altaria doesn't make a ton of sense for me to bring, especially if it's Band Archops again. I mean, I'm not like super bulky and you need to live that somehow. B, I don't think he's Iron Head either. So players can miss, and like Head Smash can miss too, so it doesn't really make a huge difference there. And C, that's going to lose against the Victini always. And if it specs Clef, it could lose to that if it's not specially defensive as well. But yeah, it doesn't seem like likely to bring. So I'm thinking he brings Archops or Gengar, is long story short. And I didn't really have this one down to a perfect science, but I'm like, I expect Psychic here. I don't feel great against Gengar. I don't feel great against Archops, but I'm going to do my best bet to beat, hopefully, Scarf Archops and hopefully Gengar going for Wisp turn 1 or going for an attack turn 1, whatever it may be. He leads Gengar. He goes Gengar. He goes Wisp turn 1. I get the Psychic off. Thank goodness the win condition came into play. I didn't get the roll to kill. I think it was like I needed max damage to kill anyway. His Hex doesn't crit me, and I'm able to take him out with Psychic. Thank goodness. If he disabled there, I think I won anyway because it's 6% struggle range, so yeah. But oh boy, that was a tense game. I did a ton of thinking and arguably some overthinking there. I was proud of this one. I felt like that matchup wasn't great, but it kind of came down to 50-50s that favored him and hopefully just making him psych himself out a little bit, and he did, so it worked out. I really don't know what the Arch upsets was, though, so can't be sure. He brings the same team again, and I'm like, oh, fuck, we're back. And lo and behold, I actually had something for rock types this game. I had Mega Lopunny, an Adamant Mega Lopunny, so high jump kick after fake out and may be able to kill Mega Diancie. I wasn't too sure about that, but I was also sub Zard for Mega Diancie's Protect, and I was ability to kill that potentially. I'm not going to say if I was Steel move on Zard X or Grass move on Zard Y or whatever, because I didn't reveal that, and revealing that now when my potential next opponent or next tournament opponent or whatever it may be could be watching this video, but I can tell you that I did have outs against Diancie in this team at least, so it wasn't great though, because Togekiss is always going to get blanked by it. I love Togekiss, so it's worth it. It's for Toki. But this game I actually had an answer to Archops, unless he was like Scarf Fly, which I thought that after last game he didn't bring it, he had to be banded, because if he was Scarf, then I think he would have probably brought it, because he would have been less scared of Scarf Victini. And also the fact that it can still beat Dragon Dance Altaria potentially if it wasn't Giga Impact, and it could still beat Clef depending on the set. Because that was offensive Clef. He didn't know that though. I mean, it's a mind game. I didn't know for sure. And also, I'd be honest, it's like 1 a.m. right now, and I don't remember the calc, so this is probably sloppy, but I had a feeling it was Band Archops on this team. So Band Archops is going to maul Zard and Togekiss. Even if you're Charty Berry Togekiss, it should have a good chance of killing. But also, if you just hit through one power punch out of like 3, you're fine too anyway. And on top of that, it's going to lose to Lopunny always if I fake out in a Thunder Punch, it'll do the trick. But the thing about Lopunny is, A, it's slower than Gengar with Wisp, and that can get problematic. Really depends on if the Gengar has a second attack. Last game we kind of keyed into it not, but also who knows, you get to change sets, so I wasn't really assuming that, and it's always losing to Mawile, period. Unless I create a high jump kick and get a roll from there. So yeah, that's not great. It's kind of like 1 out of 3, maybe 2 out of 3 if you're lucky. But the thing is here that my Zard Y was Air Slash. I could Air Slash, force that to get disabled, then Blast Burn the Gengar, and I could just completely toast the Mawile. Now the Togekiss has never been brought here. It gets mauled by all 3. So ultimately, I was like, he's gonna predict me to Zard because Zard owns his Gar, which he brought last game, and Zard owns the Mawile, which does pretty well in this game against other Pokemon. And also, he didn't Archops last game, so maybe won't Archops this game, especially because he's scared of Lopunny, and Lopunny kind of complemented the things I've been using so far. It was more of a gut read than anything, but I brought Lopunny, figuring he'd bring Archops, and lo and behold, he brings Archops. I get the fake out turn 1, and he's not like Scarf Fly or any nonsense like that, so I get the Thunder Punch there to take him out and go up 2-1 in the set. Thunder Punch from Adamant Megalope was always doing like 85 or something mean, so it was always killing it, so it was good. And even if I brought him down to Defias range, Defias Fly isn't always killing, I think, but it doesn't matter. Game 3, now this one was tight, because like Sock kind of fucking owns me. It demolishes Choice Band's Ferrothorn, and so does Heatran, and so does Specs Clef. So I was never bringing Choice Banded Ferrothorn, which is a shame because I very much wanted to bring it. I'm revealing my set as being Choice Banded because I think that's only 1v1 Ferrothorn, but also like use Choice Band Ferrothorn because it's so fucking cool. In the right matchup, oh my, in the damage output, it's so crit. Sorry, okay. Anyway, Zard, well, Zard depends on its set, coupled with the Heatran set, how that interaction goes. There are tons of different variants of interaction, but it's never going to like facing a Stone Edge sturdy Sock, if it, or a Thunder Punch Sock, depending on if it's Y, or Close Combat if it's X. So you got to be careful there. There are ways to win that matchup. There are ways to very much lose that matchup. And also, Zard, you know, there are different interactions with Clef, but I'm just going to say between Heatran and the Sock interactions, I wasn't super likely to bring my Zard either. So kind of following Gyarados, which at best can force 50-50s with Sock, because -1 Thunder Punch isn't going to 2-hit Mega. And if it close combat since regularly, you can't. But I actually didn't think he'd bring Sock. I think he'd be scared of specific Zard Ys. I think he'd be scared of the Intimidate and the 50-50s against the Gyarados. And that's if he's banded. If he's Scarf, he might just outright lose to it. And I also thought that it was kind of likely that he, if he had Thunder Punch on it, that he'd click it. And I have some nice bulk, couple of Dragon Dance. I could flinch. You know, there are outs, but also if he Thunder Punches with into Zard and I'm X, that's bad. If he close combats into Y, that's bad. So it felt as if he was basically banking on 50-50s for that against both my Megas, which is cool. And I think that kind of dissuaded him from using it. And I was like, you know what? But Clef makes a lot of sense here, because Clef can deal with some Gyarados, and it can deal with some Zard, and it's going to beat Ferrothorn in all likelihood if it's Fire move, Specs. So I don't know. I think that Gyarados might have honestly 3-0'd him if I won the 50-50 against Sock. I didn't really think much into this one. It's always being Tran, and it lives, once Mega, it lives the Moonblast from Specs Clef. I figure, okay, if he's the Charm variant or some variant like that, then there's a chance I might be fucked if I don't get a flinch in either of my first two, but I was willing to take those odds. So yeah, I figured 50-50 Villa versus Sock, and pray for the best against others. Lo and behold, I face Clef. Like, okay, if it's Specs, I do over half. I just need one flinch or no crit from Moonblast, and I get the flinch. Moonblast against Specs. Moonblast never killing me. I've got a ton of bulk, but yeah, that'll do it. I got the flinch. Definitely my first kind of stroke of luck this PL, I feel, but we'll take it. I was really happy with that. So yeah, good game Scarp tonight. Glad to win this set in 4 close games. A lot of big brain thinking. I hope I explained my thought process well enough. It's really late. I'm super tired right now, so I probably didn't do it enough justice. So later on in life, when I'm like, oh wow, I was like kind of good at 1v1, I like watch this video and like, wow, I described this like an idiot. I'll probably kick myself then, but hey, it's fine. I just wanted to get back with some 1v1 content, and now we're back with some 1v1 content. So like, comment, subscribe, and give yourself a pat on the back for getting through this video. Well, you know what? Don't do that. Clap your hands if you like this video. Yeah, do that. Okay, and you know, do whatever the hell you want. Clap, pat, I don't care. Have a great day, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe again, because I clearly didn't make that clear the first time. And yeah, okay, bye.